NextGen Economy Podcast, Accelerating Breakthroughs.
This podcast is brought to you by ExO Economy, transforming the world economy for a better future.
Well, hello there, Stacey Murphy here, and I'm here with Niki Faldemolaei. She is an exponential entrepreneur, and we're so excited that she's here with us today. So Niki, my first question for you today is, what's your vision for the future?
Oh, this could take a long time, but the Reader's Digest version is that I really would, my MTP is actually to change the sick care system, symptom-based, keep people sick, treat disease, after it happens, into an actual healthcare system. So prediction, personalization, prevention, all those good things. So healthy lifestyle is a good thing. But I'm also, from the sciences, I also got into technology. So I've always been on the cutting edge of media and all the things that are online in these days. And so COVID was a pandemic pivot for me, and I absolutely am thrilled because there's so much opportunity in it.
Isn't it wonderful how much life has changed in such a short amount of time?
And we got to take the, grab it by the horns and create. So
right?
We didn't have to work in fear.
Right. And you mentioned all of the tech that's changing so quickly. What's something that you think will be normal in the future, maybe related to healthcare, that is not yet widely adopted now? And how is that going to improve our lives?
We will definitely have augmentation. So there will be AR, VR, mixed reality, whether it's through a pair of glasses that you wear or whether it's other paraphernalia that you're wearing. So wearables and sensor-based things are a definite. And I think it'll get more and more comfortable having access to AI or to machine learning or to have other tools, including things as far and bizarre as brain-computer interface. Because to me, the more you can tap into their neurobiology, the more you can augment the talent that humans actually have. And so to me, it's not a fear of losing our roles to these AIs or robots or anything else. It's a matter of being like 10 times better than you are right now because you have more access to more data and you still have compassion and empathy and all the human traits that are so necessary.
Right. I love that you said that too, that we don't lose in the equation, that we just gain something.
Not at all. Right? Not at all. We just keep getting more and more and bigger. And just like open source back in whenever that was, 2000, whenever it was, it expanded opportunity. And when people had more access to more data, it wasn't about losing IP, intellectual property, or being taken over or taken advantage of. It was more like, here, I've created this. What can you create? And it just flowers and blooms in bigger and bigger circles.
Yeah. And how do you see that playing out in healthcare?
In healthcare, it's going to disrupt the system for sure, but in a good way, because we've been getting sicker and sicker. And in the United States, we actually lost some traction on longevity in the last couple of measures. And that's a little scary. And, I think when we alter and convert that lifestyle to a more proactive, purpose-driven existence, and you do mind, body, soul, food, diet, exercise, and mindset. Mindset is a huge deal. And we can literally shift the way that our lives unfold. And, we're magnetic. We attract the right energies when we start thinking in the right way.
That's so powerful. It really is a matter of attraction, right?
Yes.
It all exists. It's about attracting those things.
Right. Yeah.
So you do a lot of things, and one of the organizations that you're involved with is Exponential Organizations. How did you get involved with them?
Actually, OpenExO Inc. is a PBC. It's a public benefit corporation, and it was spun off, or actually it was created by Salim Ismail, who was the co-founder and CEO of Singularity University. And so when he went off to do the next big thing, he thought, okay, we've been teaching people about the mindset and about exponential growth and about expansion and just doing so many great things for the world, solving the world's problems. I want to do something that's a little bit more walking the talk and coaching and training people to come in and do it too. And so it's not like you have to take my training and that's the only thing that exists in the world. What happens here is you draw people in, you train them on your platform, and then they go off and use either the same platform or a copy of it, or they build something else. And it's like, it's great because the network is that much bigger. And so there's this whole holacracy, which is a way of management, or not actually governance in the least. It's more about organizations existing for their purpose, coming together on projects, and then going off and then coming back together in a different way next time. And it's a powerful thing because when you start to, it's almost like the word compersion. That actually is you taking joy in someone else's success or someone else's happiness or someone else's whatever. And so you're looking at these companies as, here, you come in, we'll incubate with you, and then you go off and be successful, and we go, yay! And so we've done that with so many organizations. And the little division that I'm kind of working on right now is the ExO Economy. And so we're incubating within the OpenExO environment. And to do so, what we're doing is we're kind of walking the talk of becoming that thing that's an emerging DAO, which is a Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And it really is kind of a wave right now that's being looked at very seriously because disruption in the world of finance, disruption in the world of, any kind of economy, any industry, education, finance, technology, biotechnology, all of it. And so we're trying to train people to utilize this community that's come together. The community is only 3 or 4 years old, but it's over 8,000 people. Not quite half of them, but a lot of them have been trained and coached and certified and have come in and taken, sort of the mindset shift coursework. And then they've gone off and developed their own companies, or they've come back to work with us too. And, there's a mixed bag. So, all of us have like 3 or 4 companies each. And so we're founding new companies and, some of the leadership or ambassadors come in and work together on one project, and then some of them go off and do another. And so it's just this perpetual cycle of transformation, transforming the world to be a better place, And that's, the goal. It was so attractive to me, and I work with brilliant people every day. So it's a matter of who you have around you. And so the 5 people in the room most frequently is who you become or who you play with. And that's kind of the law of attraction. Once again, you start to draw those people.
And I love what you said about conversion, that you're excited when somebody else has a breakthrough.
Absolutely.
Because it's all together. And I just saw a diagram of cryptocurrency.
Uh-huh.
And it was a diagram of the decentralized and how everything was being built off of each other. And it was a really cool diagram to show how excited you could be because it's all growing and expanding at once.
That's right.
It's all
That's
benefiting
right.
each other, right?
And you stuck your toe in that water, so
yeah, exactly.
It's very exciting.
And so while we're talking about cryptocurrencies, recently Exponential Organizations released the ExO token, or maybe that was a couple of years ago, but was it your idea, this doubling challenge? And tell us the moment when this was birthed and what?
Yeah, that's a moment of brilliance that's pretty darn special. And literally, I mean, I came in to help grow engagement in the organization. So engagement was the mantra. It's like, okay, engagement, these are the things you can do. We came up with a list of about 40 things. And I thought, okay, what's the best way to get people to adopt this and actually do the behavior? Because the organization, the token itself is actually 3 years old, but it's been private. It's a utility token. So what's happened is we built a community who's very functional and who's transacting with each other anyway and exchanging value. It's not even fiat based in most of the cases. So then the tokenization of it was a piece of cake. It was really easy to say, oh, hey, let's do an advisor call. I'll send you 200 tokens. Spend 30 minutes with me, get 200 tokens. And it became this way of honoring people's time. And it was so cool for me because in the world of, breaking glass ceilings and women in business and being underpaid or underrepresented, this just felt so much better. And I'm so attracted to the fact that decentralization is inclusion, diversity and inclusion. Oh my gosh, diversity. This organization is so international. You will never be on a call with anyone in the same country. And I love it. So many languages, we're in like 42 languages, 132 countries. And just every single day, you're finding value in being more expansive and worldwide. And I think the pandemic helped that because we started staying at home. It's like nobody's on planes anymore. So we got to be on our computer and have that many more conversations in a day because we're not spending a weekend in the course of travel or, being in a place where you're only having 1 or 2 meetings. So to me, there's efficiency in all this.
Yeah. And so you were thinking about engagement and how to build the engagement. There was already this token was there. And then somewhere a flash of brilliance said a doubling challenge. Tell me what it is.
It's basically, in the Awake presentation, sort of the mindset shift. It's like, a couple of hours or 1 hour presentation, however long you want it to be. In the trainings, we learn to sort of open people's eyes. And so in there's this thing called the Exponential Curve. And when you talk about linear progress, which is most businesses, and it just goes in one direction, it goes, just straight line, you take 30 steps, and you get 30 meters across the room. But if you do a doubling, 30 doublings, that makes that curve go whoop. And you're seeing that in media now. And that curve at such an extreme growth place is the point of, it's an inflection point where disruption is going to happen no matter what. And you get to play in that realm in such a way and prove that progressive growth like that, doublings, exponential growth, anything but linear growth. That's the old way. That's how, corporations get stagnant. They get too big, they get too bogged down with, hierarchy and governance and decision making, and everything moves slow. And so in this curve, I said, we've just got to do something, to prove that curve works. And what can we do with a population that's already aware? That would be easy. It's like we can still have our jobs and we can still dabble in this little competition, and competitions are popular right now. And so I said, okay, let's think about what we want to see. What's a metric that's important to us? And it's like, okay, let's grow our social media. Let's, grow our membership. Let's have more people show up to events. Let's have people, staking in the wallet, downloading the wallet. And so we started putting this list together, and I thought, you know what? We can do a 30-day challenge. And we've thought about, at first it was 30 days. Okay, 30 days to get to the doubling. And then we did the math, and it's like, okay, you don't get to the knee of the curve until about 24. I can't engage people's attention for 24 days, and they don't see any tokens, growing in their balance sheet. And so I said, okay, let's do 30 doublings. And that way people can do it in a weekend. You're going to do it this weekend, right? Okay. I challenge you. And I'm helping. I've got a list for you. Okay, we can do it. But you can do it in a matter of days if you've been in the community a little bit. If you're brand new, it's going to take a little bit longer. But if you have somebody holding your hand and the community is here to teach each other, we're training them to do that. Literally, the tech support on Discord is basically where the community comes in and they get the help that they need, and they solve a problem, and then they listen and watch for other people that have the same question, and then they answer it. So our tech support team just expanded by 80 people. So it's easier to get answers now. Exactly. Oh, more than double. It's like 10x. So, and that's the whole point. So with the doubling challenge, it became fun because we actually made a pretty token. You see it here. I'm backwards. It's over my shoulder. And we made it cute. We made these little avatars. Some of them have thumbs up, some of them have, clapping or whatever. Some are smiling, some are blushing. And so we've kind of made it a game. And so gamification is a good way to essablish behavior change. And then we started doing this leaderboard where people can see the actual progress. So if they've done 10 submissions, they start to see that their name starts to move up in the ranking. And so as their name moves up in the ranking, they're going, oh. And what we did was we started, because we couldn't afford to give, 30 doublings goes from 1 to 1 billion. We couldn't really afford to give 1 billion tokens. So we put the pool together to make it 1 million. And when we cut it down to the top 100 winners, we ended up giving 0.002 tokens on day one. And so 30 doublings later, they get 10,737 tokens. And it's like, really? And so you're going through this thing, and after 10, you don't really see much growth. After 20, 24, I think, yeah, 24 is where you're over 100 tokens. But then 6 doublings later, you go from 100 to 10,000. And that's pretty cool. And when people hit that, they just feel like it's like a phenomenal success. And so we're incentivizing people to get that far because it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
So we've got 20 things we're measuring, and we made it easy. Some of them you can do repetitively, and others you can only do once or whatever. And we try to make it so there are different layers. So there's beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So whatever your skill level, you can still make it.
What I love about what you shared is when you went down the list of everything you could do to engage people, then you said, well, an abundance mindset would say we can do all of this at once. And you said we can do all of this at once with a doubling challenge. And that to me is like genius, amazing. So
it's golden.
Right. And I'm sure that there are going to be people who want to recreate this for their communities. And my question for you is, first, what would you do differently? Is there, and the birds are flying by me, I don't know if you heard that. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Well, what we plan to do, because this was successful, but it was beta, okay? The first time you do something, you don't build an entire, software that's automated. So we did this pretty manually. We had a genius. Our data analyst is absolute genius. She was able to work in an Excel spreadsheet and make the leaderboard and make automated submission questions just populate. And she's got like 25 tabs on this spreadsheet. And it's like, wow. So she qualified for a doubling for sure. Contributing ideation to making us better at using tokens was one of the ways you could double. But through this manual procedure, and we've learned a lot of lessons, now we know that not only is the gamification important, but the automation. So we're going to explore that, and we're going to probably put we're going to put offers of roles in the marketplace to help us build this out. So I've got maybe a half a dozen people that I know have worked on such things. So it's like, okay, we're just going to attract them in. And now that people are at 10,000 tokens instead of 25 or 100, now they're inspired to make that work in their behalf. Yes. So going to the marketplace, making offers. It's like I came because I was trying to do 2 digital health startups, and I couldn't get the funders to see it because it wasn't your typical VC health solution, because I'm doing prevention, and VCs make money on keeping people sick. And it's exactly why I left the healthcare industry for a long time. I took like a decade and a half off because I wanted to explore technology and what else was out there. And I just said, I don't want the pharmaceutical companies to keep people sick. I'm offended by people who are on 14 prescription medicines. It just shouldn't be that way. So then I got the idea, and I thought, okay, we're just going to work on prevention, and people are excited about it. I went into the longevity field and reversing aging and all of this healthy lifestyle stuff. And I thought, okay, these people are the right mindset. And only recently have they started having nice funds to do prevention and prediction. So it's like, I'm coming back to the table and we're going to start to launch these projects, but I wasn't finding the right talent for the right money because I was a startup and I'm still on this kind of shoestring budget until we get funded. And it's like, okay, I can come to this community who's trading in tokens, and I can do roles for other people and get paid in tokens as though it's an exchange of some sort of value. And then I can go hire someone and pay them in those tokens. It's like, it was an easier transition than trying to go the VC route. And so I thought, okay, now I'm starting to get a pool, and I've just earned another 10,000 because I did the doubling thing too. And it's like, okay, now I can go hire my data analyst, or I can go hire, a programmer, or I can go hire whatever the next step is for my digital agency. And once I get my MVP up, then I can qualify to be funded in one of the longevity funds. And so that's the plan. And it's exciting because I'm able to help all these other people. We've got 100 on the doubling challenge. It's like, I just more than 10x myself.
Isn't it incredible when we solve a problem for ourselves, we solve it for so many other people at the same time? It's so wonderful.
Yep.
And so I'm curious, what's next for you? You talked a little bit about what's next for you with the healthcare and with some of the startup that you're working on. What do you think is next for this ExO economy and this token?
The ExO economy is actually practicing to become an emerging DAO. That's the Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And right now it's becoming more popular because DeFi, decentralized finance, is becoming something people are seriously starting to consider. Because before it was like, whoa, that's different. Bitcoin was like wobbly for the first few years. And now all of a sudden with the massive success just in the past months, people are taking it very seriously. And we just had an entire conference that Salim spoke at in Dubai. And it was all about people coming together saying why you should be aware of why, even with the crash, or the correction is more of a literal term, the correction in the market where Bitcoin came down to a degree, people were starting to be afraid, and maybe I should sell off, and maybe that it's wind and blah, blah, blah. But then you back off and you look at the annualized plan. You can't count just a month. You look at the annual plan, and that exponential curve happened, and Bitcoin's way up there. And so now when it has its correction, if you stay back at the big picture, you see that it's still way up there. And the prediction is it's going to double again, by the end of the year, even in some cases. And so to me, that's a pretty solid bet. And so a lot of these experts were talking in this conference, and I'm glued. It's like, okay, what do I do with my 10,000 tokens? And it's like the guy says, if you get in and you more than double, then sell half and keep the other half in there. And you do it again and you do it again. You're solid, strict to that rule. You will be successful. And it's like most of us get afraid, and it's like, oh wait, I've got to get my original investment out, and then it went up by 5 times. Should I take 2.5 out, or maybe I should? And you have these conversations. It's like, just shut up. Where's the formula?
There's a math equation here.
That's right.
Follow the equation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to wrap up today, I'm curious, any last thoughts about anything we've talked about, or what do you think people should be paying attention as we move forward?
Oh, I think it's really important to be hanging out with people who think forward, futurists, anybody who's actually walking the talk. And that's part of the reason that engagement became the measurable thing for us, is that we've had this economy, we love each other, it's growing, and it could be massive. But we have to be walking the talk and kind of showing people that, yes, this is functional. It's not just somebody who got certified and went off and had a successful company and we say, see ya, glad you did this. No, it's about coming back and engaging again, or hiring again, or making another offer again, or building another company. It's like, you don't have to be a 9-to-5er. You don't have to work for any one company anymore. In this decentralized environment, nobody's the boss. And so it's kind of new, it's different. It's kind of like herding cats sometimes. But on the other hand, you have so much freedom and flexibility. And if you just allow the strategy to work, and this is where the mastermind, Kent Langley, came in, and years ago, he built this back in 2016, and a team. We've got a great team that has built it out with him. But his strategic mind is, he knew what was coming. And so right now, there's a business plan that you should read. It's like 66 pages long, but it's on the economy.openexo.com site. And it talks about where the origin of this idea, building the community first, came in. And then what do? Blockchain is a big part of it. And blockchain can live separately from cryptocurrency. Blockchain can be an identity thing. It can be a trust validation, authentication kind of thing. It can be whatever, smart contracts. And so he knew that the public was going to take a while to get there. In fact, he calls it a 100-quarter project. So that's a 25-year project. And we're only in year 3, well, 6 probably technically. But it's one of those things that as you let these things unfold, and right now is a big correction in the market, which is exciting as heck because there's so much we can do, opportunity just keeps showing up. And the more you do, in fact, I came here to launch my 2 companies, and I'm already meeting enough people that I could be on somebody's advisory board. I could be a consultant for another. I could be working on a dozen companies at the same time. And I don't have to own it all. I just want my 2 to have a success. But attracting all these people just makes it so much more fluid. And I don't have to worry about knocking on doors and trying to convince people to do anything, because we're all in it. It's like we all want each other to win. And so I guess the lessons learned from the doubling challenge and going on to the next thing, which is the ExO Academy, trying to teach people how to use tokens in their lifestyle and how to become an emerging DAO. We're going to walk the talk, become it, and then we're going to teach other people how to do so. That's kind of the goal. Win, win, win. Everybody.
Right. I love this so much because it really is an abundance mindset to say, to go from being an entrepreneur and thinking that you're going to build a business, and to a vision of, I can be a part of so many businesses and I can help them succeed, and I can help them in these little ways. And I know that those businesses are going to be amazing in the world. And I want to be part of a community that's like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
True abundance mindset.
10x anything. Every company in the next 10 years is going to be an exponential organization. Otherwise, they won't exist.
Yeah.
So this is a way to 10x everything you're doing.
Yeah. That's a mic drop, so I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, Niki, for your time.
Thanks, Stacey. I adore you. I hope you come play. Let's get this doubling thing done this weekend, then we'll see.
On it.
All right.